In this video, we will take a look at how we can use some of the Ionic UI components. So let's start by creating a list. So what we can do is inside of our to-do page HTML, we can remove the header tag and then we can use ion list tag, and so that will be ion list. And here inside of ion list, we can use ion item, and inside of it we can use ion label. And for now we will use lorem2, that means it will create two words. So if we save it and go back to the browser, you can see it is showing as a list. So now what we can do is we can create multiple ion items so that it becomes visible. So the trick we can use here is we can use ng4 ion directive, or actually Angular directive. So here we can say item of list, here we can put array. Alright, so if I save it and I go back to the browser, you can see multiple items here. Inside of Ionic label we can use, let's say, h2 tab, and then we can, let's say, pass lorem here, and we can put this inside the paragraph. And if we save it and go back to the browser, we can see the change here. Alright, now let's see how we can add badges to our Ionic list Ionic item. So what we can do is we can use ion badge component of Ionic, so that will be ion badge, and then after that we can use a property called slot, and that will be either start or end. So we can put start here, and after that we need to put any value here. So for now let's add 1 here. So now if I save it and go back to the browser, you can see the badges here on the left hand side. So this is the start. So if we change this slot to end, and now I save it and go back to the browser, and here you can see the badges are at the end. For now let's keep them at the start. And what we can do is we can show the index of the item here. So in Angular we can do let I equal to index, and here we can show the index with the binding. So if I say I here, now index here will start from 0, but I want to start it from 1, so I will say I plus 1. So now I can save it, and if I go back to the browser now, you can see the index of our item here. Alright, now let's add a ion badge at the end also. So we can copy this and paste it. For the slot we will use end, and inside of here what we want is we want to show a icon. So if I save it and I go back to the browser, I can go to beta docs of Ionic, and here if you scroll down you can go to this Ionic cons link, and here we can use any of these icons in our Ionic project. So what I want to use is I want to use a trash icon, so I can also search it. Actually that will be trash, so I want to use this icon here, and if I click here then it will copy this code. So now if I go back to the editor, I can paste this code. And there is one more thing I want to do is we can also provide a color for our badges. So we can use color property, and here we can use danger. So if you are wondering from where these colors are coming from, if you open variables.scss file inside theme, and you can see we have primary color, secondary color, tertiary, success, and the one we are using is danger. So now I can close it, and if I save it and go back to the browser, you can see we have this trash icon inside of badge here. So we can make use of it. Now let's see how we can add buttons in our Ionic project. So here what we can do is we can use ion button component, and here we can pass any text. So let's say add to do. So if I save it and go back to the browser, you can see a button here. Alright, the Ionic button component has many properties. So let's say if we want to change the color, we can use color to, let's say, danger, and we also have a property called fill, and here we can specify if we want to show outline only. We can also use one more property, so let's say shape, and we can say it is equal to round. So now if I save it and go back to the browser, you can see the button here. Similarly, we can use floating action buttons. So let's say if we use ion fab, then we have to specify vertical and horizontal position. So for the vertical, so we have top, bottom, start, end position. So here we can say for the vertical, I want to show the ion fab button on the top right. So I will say for the vertical this is top, and for the horizontal position that can be start. And the one property we also need to use is slot equal to fixed. And here inside of ion fab we can use a property or component ion fab button, and inside of that we can use ion icon. So the icon that will be shown in the fab button, and the name we can use add. So now if I save it and go back to the browser, okay, so the button is showing, but my mistake, the horizontal position needs to be the end. So let's fix it. So let's change it here, and that needs to be end. So now if I go back to the browser, the button is showing on the top right.